Good evening and welcome to the Nighttime Heat right here on Prime FM 105.5. This program is being aired right here on Prime FM 105.5. We are streaming live on Prime FM Morovia 105.5 and also streaming live on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. You want to watch the show live? Just tap Nighttime Heat either on your Facebook or on your YouTube if you are in the diaspora. And of course, you're going to watch the show live and enjoy the show as well. Tonight, the promises to be very, very interesting. I know my panelists are on their way, but two of the panelists, in fact, I understand, will not be in as a result of their engagement today. We'll have David Benedictus Rasmus Tagwe. David is in. I know Edwin Formula is walking in. George Kennedy is still on the weather. We're hoping that George will be well very soon. And of course, he can also reappear on the program. But like I said, tonight promises to be very interesting. Try to share the show so that your friends, your relatives, your loved ones, your partners can also follow. Because we're going to have interesting discussion. And of course, let me acquaint you of what is coming up tonight. We'll have a grill with Deputy Information Minister Daniel Sando. Sando is the government's mouthpiece. When he speaks policy issues. And so he'll be our guest between 8:30 up to 9:30 tonight. And of course, there was this noise yesterday. In fact, as a result of that, the session in the House of Representatives was aborted because reportedly, House Speaker Rachel Corner blocked a heated debate surrounding the military-linked evasion in the 72nd community. We got a video, when the noise broke. We have the video when Representative Priscilla Cooper was in the fray of that. We're going to play that video and talk about that as well. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is encouraging current President Boakai to initiate a dialogue, amongst key stakeholders, including George Manneh Weah. But that happened. What could be the benefits of that? We're going to talk about that as well. And tonight, if time permits, is there a disconnect between the actual needs of the people and the deliverables of the government? It's what the government doing is what the people want. Is it really the needs of the people? Job creation, the people want. Better health care, the people want. Good to basic social services, the people want. Is that what the government is delivering? We're going to talk about that as well tonight. And like I said, kindly share the show. Share the show so that your friends, your relatives, your loved ones, your partners can also follow what's happening tonight on the Nighttime Heat. We are streaming live on Prime FM Morovia 105.5 and also streaming live on our Nighttime Heat Facebook and YouTube channel. I'm very shortly open the lines for you, but let me welcome my panelists quickly before we can open the lines. We want to hear from you. It's a new, flavor. We thought to just interject or insert in the program. We want to hear from. We know you got a couple of issues on your mind. You got about the economy, or about job creation, or about how the government is proceeding. We're going to talk about. Maybe you want to talk about that. We'll open the lines for you so that you have an opportunity to speak your mind. But David Benedictus Erasmus Nabutagwe, welcome to the program.
Yeah, Saba, thank you very much, and good evening to many of our listeners across the world. And I'm disappointed that two of our men, in fact, three of them will not be here. Josh Kennedy will understand this under the weather. Hope we wish you speedy recovery. Moses, our mate Moses, and the freshman on the show, Prince Kripla. who will not also be joining us
You
tonight.
call Prince Script like a freshman.
He's a freshman.
He'll respond to you when he comes. And I know he'll respond very heavily.
You know I can withstand the heat.
Well, let me welcome you, Edwin. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. George. And again, I'm glad to be here, as always. To my brother David Taiwe. Maybe we're going to be the two regular, because sometimes, these issues come up. But again, it's a part of life. But as always, we're glad to be here to be able to, serve our people the nighttime heat. Thank you.
Okay, so like we said, we'll be having a grill, an interview with the Deputy Minister of Information, Daniel Sano, that is at 8:30 up to 9:30, just an hour, and we'll do our analysis of other issues. Tonight on the show, we want you to share the show, share the live video so that your friends, your relatives, your loved ones, your partners can also follow what's happening tonight. And let's open the lines for you because I know you have some issues, burning issues that you want to talk about. 0778 460 793. Again, 0778 460 793. Or better still, 0886 050507. Again, 0886 050507. Or this alternative line. Maybe you are trying to get through. Unfortunately, you're not going through. So you can call this alternative line 0776 540 987. Again, this is the alternative line 0776 540 987. Or you call the line 0778 460 793. We want to hear from you. What is it that's burning on your mind this evening? What is it you want to talk about? Does it have to do with the government, or does it have to do with the community? Or, is it about yours? Let's hear from you quickly. Let's take the first call on the line, on this alternative line, and let's hear from you. Good evening. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm okay, sir. Kindly
me.
lower the volume of the radio. Kindly lower the volume of the radio, please.
All right, getting me?
Yes, you are loud and clear now.
I'm calling for the county of West Point.
Okay.
Francis and Harvard.
Okay.
They are proceeding to carry on very good, well, and also they appreciate them to carry on their good. Yes,
Hello? Yes, please. You are coming in broken. Kindly maybe change your location so we can hear you. We can hear you well.
All right, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm proceeding on the government. Do you get me?
Yes, go ahead quickly.
Yeah, the government is proceeding very, very well.
Okay.
The only thing we need for them to do is very, very carry on what they are doing, their good work. Also, people like Nigeria, they are trying, but we know the government will try to do well. In their 3 years. So they're getting Labrador people to be patient.
Okay. All right, many thanks. I think you made your point. You said the government is proceeding very well. You're asking your compatriots to be patient with the government, and those things that the government has not yet achieved, the government will try to do so. Let's hear from you wherever you are. Does it have to do with the government or your community or yourself? Let's hear from you. 0778 460 793. That's the number to call. Again, 0778 460 793, or better still, 0886 050507. Again, 0886 050507. That's the numbers to call, and you are live. Want to hear from you what is burning on your mind. What is it that is of interest to you? What has drawn your attention? Is it about the economy? Is it about electricity, LEC that has become a flash in the pan? Is it so, or is it about the road? So what is it that that's on your mind? Is it about your community? maybe your community leaders are not performing and they need to be booted out. Is it about your community? Let's hear from you. Or is it about yourself? Maybe you want to talk about yourself, your needs and what you want to happen, what you think the government can do, or some philanthropist or whatever it is humanitarians can do for you. Let's hear you quickly. 0778 460 Again, 0778 460 or better still 0886 050507. Again, 0886 050507. Or this alternative line 0776 540 987. Again, 0776 540 987. Let's hear you. Good evening.
My name is Gabriel calling from.
You say you're calling from where?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear from you. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, my attention, I'm on the start of the motorcycle. And now we are not going down for back to get paid for people at the all lesson pay with you in shoe first. National transport. And we are not going down, we are insurance again. So there are many other people getting lesson pay from Moldova.
Okay. Yes, but I know what is it that you want the government to do now?
National transport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are demanding of our lesson pay for insurance before we do lesson. Lesson pay, before we do lesson pay, we do insurance. And now we're not going into anymore. They are still demanding higher money for insurance.
Okay. All right. We'll try to get the transport ministry people here. I'm sure anytime out of this week or next week. Again, 0778 460 793. Again, 0778 460 793. Or better still, 0886 050507. Let's take this caller quickly on the line. Good evening.
Yeah, how are you doing, sir? Good evening.
I'm okay. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I'm calling you from Zimbabwe, Queens.
Okay.
Yeah. So many issues will be discussed or specific again the major ones that I will highlight. And first of all, we'll start with the solar market. Yeah, even those we know that the project of construction road. And if we are looking at solar market, we have so many fellows that living on a market. And now the second police are really getting for hard. Some of them look at the market and waste Sunday. Somebody will take their market and go and hard in the hall. They will stay into the market for them, waste all the ground, somebody carry it on no reason. On no reason. Because if someone is running away from you, you should know that they have followed you already. So you got no right to run behind it again and take their market from them. Some of them, they take it away, and some of them, they waste it in the debt and step on it or something, waste it on the ground. Just damage it at all. I think government will need to look into it. We agree that it's under construction. They have to move on the road. And now they are like far away from the road also. And they are still giving the hard time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You made a point. We'll take another caller quickly. 0778 460 793. Let's hear from you quickly. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let me say a pleasant good evening to the general listening public. My name is Frank Nascimento Porto, and I do join from Madagascar Decimal 13 resident. And let me appreciate you so much for giving us the opportunity in the government. And my concern has to do with the quote unquote debate when it comes to harmonization and free harmonization between the two distinguished Arab nations. That's where that of Cameroon. I think when listening to better should not be insincere to the Liberian public because of quote unquote academicism and
knowledge in fanatic. That is very ingenious in a sense because we all know some of when you are doing a harmonization and before if your take home was going to buy US dollar and tomorrow John carry another John that is carry home $55 dollar. John will be 35 with the 35 then the 35 carry before. So I don't know where then the argument of swear is relative to even form because it is very, very as just to create a purported analysis, argument to swear about what happened in the country from the economic issue. But where the harmonization, if the government try to pass it, I think making that a better, let us say you are against the Liberian people because the harmonization caused a lot of damage to Liberian people already. And when someone coming with the idea of chairman, they can verify that. I think asking question and defining the young boy with pen age user will come from the very happy. That is ingenious.
Okay.
That's naturally a reward for them.
Okay, many thanks to me your point. Let's take another call on the line quickly. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening to my family. Paco coming from Tiama USA. Paco.
Hello?
Could you?
Yeah, let's hear from you.
Yeah, well, my man, you go to the former final minister and send government to adjusting campaign. You see, the concept of some of the things. This making economic on the 24 area. So that was the minister of finance, my brother. The minister of finance, what everybody working every time today. Then go to the president. Yeah. They put the crowd of people. Then you what if they put the people the seven? Where they get more money? You are trying to get more money. Taking common resources and making it. So they say our economy is everything very important of the country. Go see what the public work ministers do. Go see roads there. Hey, my people, what was you doing in your country? They when they started their family, can of course they don't want to talk for the inside. Create a causing a certain representative. You are doing good for the district. People will not put up for you. But we have people working in our district. They want to policy. They now could take one to my father chairman to come and to compare what happened here.
Okay.
Nobody happened. What happened? They can bring me tomorrow. Politicians can come. And who are very good when the president took a country, inquire the politician. Say, okay, I'm very good. Yeah. But they're patriot former president.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. You made your point. Thank you. You made your point.
You see, mortality to put the two together.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. We have to go. You made your point. Thank you very much. You made your point. We have to go. We can endlessly continue with that. I want to thank all of you who made your put your calls. We know later on we'll open the lines again. But Dave, let me hear from you. What's trending? Because we have the Minister General is said. What's trending?
Well, what's trending is just a day ago we had former Representative Akaras Gray here.
Mm-hmm.
Akaras Gray raised an issue, and the issue was accusing the sitting representative of District 8 of squandering some monies that were intended for victims of the Satan demolition exercise. And I read something today which I believe is the reply of Representative Tools, right? French Tools, reacting to Akaras Gray. Why it is true that the Caros have been very political and wanting to capitalize on the situation in the Satan area, but Akara raised a genuine concern. Prince Tor Akaros alleged that Prince Tor received some money from how do you call the guy? Eric Nangwe, and that money was intended for victims of the Satan demolition exercise. And Akara emphasized that. And if somebody brings such a grave allegation against you as a city representative, I think your duty is to provide the relevant answers or reaction to Gray. But instead of addressing the genuine concerns raised by Gray, Prince Tor reaction was too personal. You know, to me, it was too personal. Talking about getting married in France, talking about
That was not an issue.
that was not an issue. The issue was your reputation is at stake. The issue of integrity, the issue of transparency. Monies were entrusted into you for victims of the Satan demolition exercise. Why didn't you give the people the money as it was given? You know, there was a purpose the money was given to you.
Okay.
Why didn't give it the money? Akaros Gray had to raise alarm before you react, before you say, oh, I received the money and this and that. And at some point, you created the impression that you were the source. You were the source of the money. You did not say it was Eric Nangwe give it to you until concerns were raised by
Okay, let's
Gray
leave it at
and
that.
others. So that thing
We'll
was
talk
not.
about
I
that.
think it was not fair. He deviated from the
Okay.
concerns.
Thank you, Tablet.
Raised
That's
by
your
Gray.
question. Let's hear
Yeah.
from here.
Yes, basically, it is the same thing that has to do with these land issues that are happening in the country. I think the government have to take a step back, try to do some analysis, look at the pros and cons in all of these issues, because again, yesterday, Honorable Priscilla Cooper also, yes, who also raised the same point with the military again. I think somewhere in the 72nd area there that, you know, they've taken people property, they barricaded the place. And I saw today online a very depressed lady who says she spent almost $1.5 million to build some property the military has barricaded. And also I saw again another eviction stuff again, I think around the MTA area or so forth. Look, I said it here last night. If we are not careful, this issue of land is going to bring another conflict in this country. Because like that lady who actually was there crying that she spent almost her entire life saving on the property that now the military is taking away from her. You know, these are the kind of things that grow bitterness in people, because this is my entire life savings. So tomorrow, if God forbid, and people want to riot and think, you think if she has money to give it to them, she won't give it to them? So at a point, look, we understand that, yes, some of these properties belong to people. But look, I always say, that's why in the law they have something called reasoning. So they will always say they could reason. Sometimes it is not basically sticking to the law, it's doing it for the public good. If you can recall the 2017 elections, there was a petition that went before the Supreme Court for their elections to be nullified and it should be rerun. I think the only person who dissented on the Supreme Court opinion was Justice Kabina Janet. And Justice Janet was pushing this issue that says that, look, if we have a doctrine that says fraud vitiates everything, it means that we should notify the entire election because there has been a report of fraud. But the majority of the Supreme Court bench said no. Now, if, yes, we agree that fraud vitiates everything, but there are public there are public goods in this whole thing, because if we notify this process, the amount of money is going to take for the states to run this election, we may not have it. We may also run into constitutional crisis. So therefore, even if we what the Liberty Party is now crying for, that fraud, even if we take that number and give it to them, they will still not make any kind of significant difference. So therefore, we uphold the ruling that yes, there were fraud, but that fraud does not amount to the process of trying to notify the entire election process. So I'm just giving these synopsis to look at this whole thing. Yes, the land belongs to Slobo George, but if removing 25 family heads, that's going to put over 150 people, at distress where they don't have place to stay. Their children going to be out of school. It could create a public nuisance. The government can call Slobo George and say, look, Slobo, whatever you pay for that land, the government will be able to negotiate with you, but allow the people to stay there. Take, for example, the issue of the military barracks. That barracks were built those days when 72nd were not populated, right? Now that people have gone in the area due to the Civil War, the presence of the barrack was not there. People bought land in those areas. I think the government needs to come out to say, look, yes, we have Camp Shuffling, we have Camp Todi. Why not we relocate the military into those areas and get them out of the population area and let the people be on the land rather than you going there to demolish everything? These are things that we need to work on. So we try to save people their livelihood.
Sure, and I agree with you. I agree with you. For me, I think I have. We're still awaiting Minister Daniel Sano as soon as he joins. We'll make sure to begin the interview with him. But my concern tonight, I think, is a bit different from the both of you. I've been listening to debate in street corners, and one of the media institutions been peddling that about this whole harmonization, exercise that was initiated by the former administration. The current Minister of Finance made a statement and said, look, we have begun reversing the harmonization. There are some individuals who have taken it and understood it to sound awkward to them, to sound untrue to them, by saying that if you reverse harmonization, you have to go to legislature and all of that. No. And unfortunately, and often when I talk about this gentleman, and I'll be very blunt tonight. I know Moses is listening. When I talk about him, I'm disappointed in my disappointment is in the press union and even the government, because the government has a judicial responsibility to ensure that there's decency and responsibility usage of our airwaves. But the government sits there and allow half-baked individual. They take over our airwaves and spewed lies and innuendos, and nothing absolutely is done. This gentleman, Stanton, let me be very frank, let me be very blunt, peddling lies on his platform that for one to reverse the harmonization, you have to go to legislature. No! Let's assume that way. If granted it's legislature or whatever it is, but if your salary has been restored to what it was prior to, do you need to go to legislature for that to happen? Don't you call that a reversal of the harmonization?
Then we have to go to what the Constitution says about that.
But because, unfortunately, this gentleman apparently fighting a proxy war, or apparently this gentleman doesn't understand some of the issues that he runs with. And that's the reason why you find bulk of these panelists are now leaving the program. How can you come out and spew lies in the public that what the Minister of Finance said is untrue, when you don't even work with the GSC, not work with the LACC, or work with the judicial or the DEA? The minister was very blunt and frank. He said, look, we've begun. In fact, even in this budget, we have also made an effort to reverse the harmonization for some of our people. Then you get on your radio, this time, and this is a country where you see a criminal can call another, can try to demonize people who are well are respected in society and respected globally. You come out to call somebody using a lot of invectives. How do you? And it just shows that you are uncultured and untrained, and you're not even supposed to be on, using our airways for that matter. But unfortunately, the government allows those things to happen. The press union doesn't have the teeth to bite because the press union, by right, should be the one to license media institutions. But the press union doesn't have that teeth to bite. Every government that comes in, they drag their feet on giving the press union that responsibility and that power. So people always go on their, use their airwaves to denigrate and denigrate, people of character. And that's what this guy has continued to do. So, I just sought to talk about this because it's troubling. We have our kids who are listening to the radio, listening to the platforms, and try and want to learn from what some of the things that we talk about. For a man to sit on his radio and said, "Oh, the minister is lying," how could you? When you don't even work with the institutions that the minister made reference to, how could you? When you don't even understand the issue of harmonization with your broken English and lacking of subject verb agreement, you don't even know all of that. Then you come on radio and say the minister is no. It's unfortunate, man. And my frustration has to do with the government. My frustration has to do with it, with the government and the PUL, because the PUL is prepared to take on that responsibility. If you give that responsibility to the PUL, there will be many media institutions that will not operate. There will be quacks, that will be removed from the airwaves. Like Stanton, men of that nature. Insulting somebody who you can't even sit with or have any match with. I'm getting. I don't want to get emotional, but we're still awaiting the minister of the deputy minister of information, as soon as he joins us. We're going to start the ball rolling, and this is my frustration, Tagba and Edwin. For us to have people of that nature. Please read this for me. To have people of that nature on the airwaves and trying to denigrate the character of good people, trying to berate,
first
of respect.
Your first thing, Sabal.
When you don't have, I'm coming. When such individuals don't even have the technical know-how, they don't even have the knowledge, they're not even conversant of what they're talking about. But they get on radio because they do have platform. They start to and insulting good people. If you are fighting a proxy war, maybe for anybody, and the time will come, we're going to talk about politics. 2029 is approaching. If you see you're going to fight a proxy war, for someone, against the minister of finance, making a slight mistake, because there's absolutely no match. I'm not seeing anybody who has matched to him. There's a man who goes globally and speak, and people listen to him. Who has done that? There's a man who was highly recruited by international institutions. Where are you coming from? You don't even have any match to this man. You got absolutely even the subject agreement that you speak. It's just cracking every time in your mouth. You put your mouth on responsible people.
Yes, some of that. What I want to say is that, look, the Ministry of Finance and all other ministries and agencies of government, they have their spokesperson. So if someone sits on the radio and, say, make some inelegant comments about them, I think their PRs should take up. So I'm not going to sit down here and talk about and be a public relation officer of GAFA or any other minister. So they have their
no. I think we are going to tackle this. I didn't ask you. No, I'm coming, Dave. I didn't ask you to serve as PR for anybody. No. Did I, Edwin?
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
I'm coming. I asked all of us individually. What is it trending? And you spoke about what's trending.
Yeah.
Edwin spoke about what's trending. What's trending for me is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That people of like Stanton will sit on his platform and use invectives on well-meaning, people who are well charactered, people who are well dressed and well educated.
Society.
You can do that.
Society. It's a very interesting society you're in. Your points are valid points. Except my only problem is about the names calling and all that thing, so it can sound like we're in war.
But
the point
is, if somebody heard,
Yeah.
If somebody heard or the professionally heard, you bring them to book. You can
Yeah.
name them, shame them.
Yeah, and
Because
that
and the reason why I'm naming and shaming him is because he has no match to this gender that you're making reference to. Every time he goes on his platform, that is one man you be hating at for what purpose? You don't even
yeah.
understand harmonization. He doesn't know what harmonization. In fact, the English he speaks does not even represent this gentleman he's talking about.
And-
He
and-
can't even match this gentleman. You go on radio, you're trying to insult, individuals like that for.
Yeah,
And then who
listen, Len.
speaks in international fora and then who has international repute and admiration, and you don't have. You should be thinking about how you can go to face the law in America.
I think
And not be
what
on
we should
radio
be
and trying
advocating for
to
is Sabah.
condemning other people who making major strides and efforts in
Sabah.
our country.
So our advocacy should be about the president should be given the teeth to bite. All the time we say the president doesn't have the teeth to bite. So the president, the role is supposed to be playing, by
Yes, but the
regulating.
president doesn't
Right.
have the
But-
just
but-
right.
so-
So,
and-
if
and-
people slip, that will bring them to
And
book.
the president of
But yeah,
Liberia,
that's what you spoke on.
let me learn.
No,
let me
you
learn.
spoke on.
No,
You
let me
spoke-
let me learn, Sabo.
You said the president doesn't have the teeth to bite. Why are you going again?
Sabo.
We got it in minister. The minister is on.
The
and we
minister
have-
on okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Since the minister is on, thank God the minister of information can maybe you speak for a people. But
Mr. Minister, welcome to the program.
the deputy information minister, Daniel Sanders.
Thank you, Slobo. And let me say good evening to David.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Minister.
Is there another person?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
your
Edwin.
your good friend Edwin Fambule. That made me very well.
Elvin Famola, let me say good evening to you.
Thank you, Daddy.
It's a pleasure being on your show this evening. I have to escape a class reloaded to join you because Slobo have been after me for a very long time.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah, but I do appreciate everything you do to contribute to the national conversation. So I'm here now. Let's have a conversation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Minister. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. And rest assured, we're going to have a very civil and respectful, discussion tonight with you. You should have come on by 8:30, but you are on at 8:41, so maybe we're going to push your time a bit. Let's hear from you first, Mr. Minister. I'm sure at the beginning or middle part of last year, I want to begin, with from your background to the Ministry of Information. You launched this this dialogue, intending to go across the country and educate our people about government policies and programs. What's the status of it now? Since the launch, we haven't heard much about that.
So it's good that we starting the conversation on a promotional note, because I have to say that the government town hall is well on course. It's a flagship program of the Ministry of Information that we devised to add flavor to the work. I'm getting feedback.
Please check us. Apparently from your end, but not. I don't think it's from here. Apparently from your end.
Go ahead, but
But go ahead. We are hearing you. Are clear. You are clear and loud.
Okay, so it's a flagship program devised by the senior management team here at the ministry, particularly the Department of New Media and Public Affairs. It's meant to take the government to the people in real time. Policymakers who are in positions in the government have to interact with people in the communities in the rural counties so they can have an idea of what informed government decision to take certain policy. And in return, policymakers can also have an opportunity to interact with the citizens on what their opinion, suggestions, or recommendation might be to government policy. So that program was launched last year, May. We had the second edition in Nimba. Before the close of last year, we had a second edition in Nimba. And just today, we are concluding arrangement for the third edition, which we hosted in Grand Bassa County. That program originally should have been held on a monthly basis, but we have some problem, constraints, so we try to do on a quarterly basis. So if your concern is the government town hall, you can rest assured that program is on course. The third edition will be held in Grand Bassa County, May, February. And you will be invited to also cover that event.
Okay.
We want to dedicate this third edition to the legislature because we do believe that they play a pivotal role in driving the developmental agenda of the country. We now have a budget of $1.21 billion. It is good for the legislators who pass the budget to have an opportunity to tell the people what informed that decision on the appropriations in the budget, the priorities area, and what have you. Because the budget is a law. Item by the national. This edition of the third edition of the government will be the legislative edition. We want to have people from the legislature, maybe the president pro tempore or the speaker or some ranking members to go there and speak on the issues. But we're targeting the president pro tempore because she's from Bassa. It is a constituent. We also want the speaker of the legislature to be there. But we are concluding all of these arrangements, and then we'll make the final announcement on the date and venue, which part of Grand Bassa the program will be held.
Okay, listeners and viewers, especially the viewers, if you want to watch the show online, we are streaming live on Prime FM 105.5, Prime FM Morovia 105.5. We are also streaming live on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Just tap Nighttime Heat out on the Facebook or your YouTube channel, and of course, you're going to watch the show live. Our guest here tonight is the Deputy Minister of Information, Daniel Sano. Now, Mr. Minister, you spoke about challenges and constraints that have retarded your effort. You really want to speed up with this whole town hall meeting. Do you care to just give us an idea of some of those challenges and constraints that you make a reference to?
So, government has a lot to do, and the problem we have here is that there's not money available to do everything I want to do. So there are constraints everywhere. I would not want to dwell on the challenges that we have here at the Ministry of Information because from all indication, we've done our best to revive this ministry, give it a facelift, make it more visible. The public now looks up to the Ministry of Information to direct and supervise government communication. When you look at the newspapers, major local dailies in the country, international news outlets, online platform. Maybe we all got mute when I'm talking because I'm getting feedback. Everybody gets mute when I'm talking, then we want to talk, I will mute.
Yeah, you are muted already.
I'm getting feedback.
I don't know from where you're getting it. Maybe except you have to go off and come back on, but
no. So that's why
muted. Yeah.
Okay, so they look up to the Ministry of Information for news, and all these things are happening. The ministry is doing extremely well. So I would not want to dwell on the challenges. That is not to mean that everything is okay, but I think in the midst of everything, we are doing extremely well. So I think we can proceed from that point.
Okay. Now, before I can turn over to my other two colleagues who are here, we see what appears to be an infrastructural progress at the Ministry of Information. We see you're building facelift, and we see a couple of stuff that were not around before. And how much investment, Mr. Minister, did you and your colleagues make in transforming the infrastructural aspect of the ministry?
Well, Slobod, we have a country that is challenged in many aspects. When you are given the opportunity to serve, the first thing that is required of you is to take very seriously the job you've been able to do. And we at the Ministry of Information the job seriously. And regardless of the status of the building which we inherited, you now see major changes being made. Except for the last year budget where the government provided a little over 150,000 to aid with the renovation. When we got here, the building was very dilapidated. The leaking roof, everybody knows the story. It took innovation and commitment to get the building to where it is today. So this is just to mean that we didn't just come here to feed on the public cover. We came to add value and impact to public service.
I know you are talking about innovation, but I'm being specific about figure. How much you can invest in trying to give that?
I just told you that beyond the 150,000 that was provided by the government through PSRP in the last budget year, there are a couple of interventions that were made before that money was available. If you ask me to put a cost to it, I can't put a cost to it because I am not the one heading administration. I don't handle all of these procurement processes. I can't put a cost to it. But I know it has been very cost intensive.
But you should have the information at your fingers. Now, Mr. Minister, you have the information at your fingers.
Except you want me to manufacture that information slowly. I just told you that the government library provided 150,000 in the last budget. But beyond that 150,000, just the roof alone, to change this roof, we got here in 2024, it cost close to 60,000 US. All of the bathrooms, all the floors, everything dilapidated, the offices to get it the way it is today, that I can stay in office up to this time, 10, 11, 1 o'clock in the morning to do work. I mean, it cost us some money. Some we did from our pocket. Some we've been able to accomplish by the little that's been provided by the government of Liberia. So I can't tell you that to get the building looking at it, it costs $2 million. I can't get full figure out for you. I have to be very authentic about what I say because it's a public space. But what I do know is that in the last budget, 2025, the government of Liberia provided 150,000 to aid with the renovation of this building.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'm about to go to David, but before then, let me just announce our viewers. You are, listening, and listeners, you are also listening to the nighttime heat, and of course, our guest is the Deputy Minister of Information, Daniel Sano. When he speaks, it means that the government has spoken. That's the man we have on the program. You want to watch online? Just tap the nighttime heat on your Facebook page or on your YouTube channel, and of course, go to watch the show online. Or also, you can just watch the show on Prime FM or Rovio 105.5. Dave, it's your turn.
Yeah, Mr. Deputy Minister, good evening once again. My name is David Tagbe. Currently, the trending development that people talking about now is the Satan demolition exercise, where we're getting reports that hundreds of persons have been displaced and in distressed conditions. The last time a major demolition took place was during the demolition of the city's headquarters. And when these demolition exercises are going on or have started, then people start to point accusing fingers at the government of being the instigator of these demolition exercise. Now, the Satan demolition exercise, which is now trending, there are people who also pointing accusing fingers at the government of being the mastermind, although from our investigation, it is obvious that it's a civil matter. The owner wants the place. But what do you think when people are dragging the government? Why do you think government is always being linked to these kind of demolition exercise. First of all, CDC now is Satan will understand people that be evicted from the BTC, I don't know BTC, but they how they call it 72nd military barracks, and these are the things people talking about, and the government name is linked to exercises.
So, David, are you getting me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, sir. We are hearing you.
The first thing that I would like to say in response to your question is that the situation in Satan is unfortunate. As a government, we empathize with our citizens that have been made homeless by this eviction and demolition exercise. They are our citizens, and the government does not take proud when citizens are in distress. That being said, we have to understand that the country is governed by laws. A slumber judge has legitimate ownership to the land being occupied by Pram FM. And slumber judge goes to the court being a forum for dispute resolution. And that dispute is judicially adjudicated. We all should be able to respect the outcome of that ruling of the court. And so it is a case with what happened in Satan a few days ago. It is a matter involving private parties to which the government is not connected. So anybody who thinks that because of politics they will tie the government to what is happening in Satan, that person will be mistaken. And I think the people themselves who have been victimized, they know that the government is not connected to it. Okay. People go to court, they have their issues. The court rule, the ruling of the court has to be enforced. We also have been aware of people who try to politicize a very sorrowful and deplorable situation citizens are going through after the demolition. I think to a greater extent, politicians who try to politicize the situation, they only prove how desperate they are. And people have to be mindful. When you see family heads being made homeless, you need to be very sensitive. Put politics aside and try to identify with them because we are all humans. But if the first step is for you to politicize it and say, oh, the government is insensitive to the plight of the people, the government breaking people's houses down, government has not broken anybody's house down. Where the government will go to build roads, people who got structure in the way will be duly accommodated. My mother's house was in the alleyway on the old road. When our house was marked by the Ministry of Public Works, we couldn't stand in the way because of a public official. We did self-demolition. We built the house back. So the government, to answer your question, David, the government is not connected in any way or form to this demolition. It is just unfortunate that we have desperate and failed politicians who think that by politicizing everything that happens in the country, they are scoring political points. And, I'm happy that you asked this question because there are some who believe, I have seen people going to Capitol building, they call it on the government to do this, to do that. The government cannot intervene in the enforcement of the ruling from the court because the government has three separate but coordinated branches. The judiciary has a duty to interpret and apply the laws. The executive has a duty to enforce the law. What is happening in Satan is both an interpretation and an enforcement of the laws of the republic. And let me just conclude on the note saying that it is absolutely not logical for people to think that the application of the rule of law is only when justice favors one party. Some of the people who are trying to politicize this situation were the ones who were saying yesterday that they are for the rule of law. And some of these people are lawyers. They said the law is law. So you can't treat the judiciary in a way that rule of law is only good when it's in your favor, but rule of law is bad when in another person's favor. The two parties that went to the court over the land dispute, they are all Liberians. And the court took into consideration their rights. They were accorded due process. And at the end of the day, judgment was rendered. To say to the public that it was wrong for the court to have enforced that judgment only because it favored one person, you're not being fair.
Okay, so Mr. Minister, let me come in quickly with a follow-up question. You said very well that the government is it's not pleased, especially when you see your citizens being made homeless, especially huge in that number. But this is something that we understand, Mr. Minister. Started during the during the administration of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and some interventions were made from the government end, and the demolition didn't take place. Even likewise, up to present, Mr. Minister, what do you think it would have cost your government if you had intervened for the purpose of saving your citizens, people who you expect tomorrow to give you their votes, to see them being homeless and thrown out and all of that?
That is a problem. That is a problem that we face in our country. Mm-hmm. People are so concerned about votes. They're so concerned about the next election that they want to give credence to the wrong thing.
But Mr. Minister, I'm coming now. Mr. Minister. When you say that people are concerned about votes, are you not concerned about votes in 2029?
So
is that what you're saying?
So are you suggesting, by your question, are you suggesting that because the government wants to win the next election, the government should circumvent the court process? Is that what you're saying?
Is that circumvention? No, I'm saying if the government had intervened to stop the demolition as it was done during the
I just told you that the government is not
Let me ask my question. I started with you on a promotional note because I know we have reached this particular level. Now, the question I'm asking, if your government had just intervened to stop the demolition as it was done during the last administration of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, what it would have cost the government?
The first thing, what will inform the government decision to even stop the enforcement of a court mandate?
Because you said what will inform the government's decision to stop? You are not stopping. You are intervening for the sake of your people who tomorrow you rely on.
So you want me to answer your question now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So to insinuate that the government could have intervened by circumventing the enforcement.
No, you are using the wrong word. We are not saying you should circumvent. Not at all. We said dialogue manner.
I will leave back so you can talk.
No, but we are not saying you should circumvent. We said intervene in a dialogue form like it was done during former President Sirleaf's days.
Do you have any record to prove that a prior or previous ruling was issued and the government or former President Sirleaf circumvented it or intervened?
There were intervention. They didn't circumvent. There were intervention by them.
I'm saying to you that this matter was between two private parties. who are making claims to this land. Okay? It's a case that I've been running. My understanding is that the case has been on since 2017. How many years we're talking about? Since 2017. So that the eviction was not issued, that a ruling was not acquired from the court, doesn't mean that it can be done now. As a government, do we take pleasure in the fact that our citizens have been made homeless? I told you no. And that's why I started the conversation by saying that we empathize with our citizens. What you are asking the government to do by your question is to simply say that the government should have stopped the enforcement of the ruling from the court, which would have obviously
through dialogue.
violated. I'm coming. Which we are obviously violated the doctrine of the separation of powers. Don't forget, when the executive goes to enforce the law, the judiciary does not come to say, don't enforce the law, do what it is. Okay? Mediation could not work from 2017 up to present. There's nothing that has been done to stop what happened in Satan over there. And I already appreciate what the staff put this house and talking about, well, you're not concerned about the vote, the people who will vote for you. Do we take pleasure in the fact that you have been made homeless? No. But what I don't want us to say on this platform is that the government will be carried away out of the concern for vote, and the government does the wrong thing. No.
Okay.
And then also the second question.
This action is not an action of the government. It's an action growing out of a court ruling. And we should all know that we live in a country governed by law. When the court rule, the president, the chief justice, the minister of justice, no official government can say, do not enforce that ruling because I want to mediate. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. David can come in.
Yeah, well, I want to ask my second question, Mr. Deputy Minister. The issue of the government's claim of creating 70,000 jobs within the last 2 years still remains a debatable issue across Liberia. People are still doubting the figure. Is there a way that the government, through the labor ministry, provides some statistics to the public through the newspapers to clear the air as to how government, where are these people employed, the private, public sectors? Is there a way? Because it still remains a matter. Another question is, Mr. Minister, someone I beg you. The other question is that when the president is about to give a public speech, like the SONA that we just witnessed quite recently, I understand that people who have the specialty in terms of writing speeches for the president. Yes, they have the specialty, but after they've written those speeches, does the information ministry have a role to play? Say, is the government's public relation arm or communication arm? Does the information ministry have a role to play, or does the information ministry have a role to play in terms of maybe joining others to do up the rules of what the president is about to say, so that, you know, the little errors that we talk about that was quite recently people capitalize on, so that it can't happen again?
Okay. Mr. Minister, you can respond quickly.
So, David.
Yeah.
David, you've been around for a hell of a long time before we got here.
Yeah.
Opposition in Liberia got a talking point. Government got her checklist. They say there's no rule. The government checklist, we check it with bidding rule. There's no pipe-borne water. We can check it, we say LWSC is providing water. There's no LEC. We can check our list and say LEC is better off than what it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
On the 70,000 jobs, if there was anybody in the country who expected the president's address to outline the names, addresses, and place of work of the people who are beneficiary of the 70,000 short and medium-term job that the government created in the last 2 years, then that person was mistaken. The president's speech, as it was read before the 55th, the third section of the 55th National Legislature, was a synopsis of all of the things that happened, that accomplished, achieved under his leadership. And he also gave an outlook of 2026, laying out his legislative agenda, giving the status of the economy and everything. So it was not a speech that would say, okay, David Tagba was for Ministry of Education, he presented a 100-page report, the president was saying read a whole 100-page report. Then if that was the case, then the president would have read for maybe 1 week. You read for 2 hours, take a break, we'll go back again. That is not the essence of the SONA. The essence of the SONA is for the president to give a synopsis and the status, the health of the economy and everything. And he did that. What did the Ministry of Information do the following day? The president spoke on Monday. The Ministry of Information laid out sector by sector, because people in opposition who are looking for talking points, they believe that 70,000 jobs are too many for Liberians. But I ask you what, people who listen will think that. I want you to think this way. 5.4 million people. What is 700,000 or 5.4 million? I'm not a mathematician. You found the numbers. 70,000.
We have a mathematician inside, is that? We have a lawyer.
5.4 million people. So the president announced the numbers. You see,
Sorry.
it speaks to the mindset of people in opposition. Job creation is a problem for our country. Instead of you saying, look, Mr. President, 70,000 jobs in 2 years, very insufficient. We encourage you to do more. They said, no, there's no 70,000 jobs. So the Ministry of Information, the minister himself, addressed the press briefing on Tuesday. The president spoke Monday. The minister addressed the press briefing on Tuesday. All of the projects controlled by ministries, agencies, through which these jobs were created, they were laid out. Opposition people say they're not true. And you think, David, we're being wall to wall with people who their job is to find talking points? No. So, for the benefit of our audience, I just want you to look at the number of projects that the government is undertaking. So we can all say in Morovia with those who say over 30 new communities have been connected with EDC. Who do you think taking the connection during the transmission and distribution of the electricity line, the connections in the communities and all over? Those are not robots. They are human beings. The government also boasts of connecting or maintaining hundreds of kilometers of road across the country. Who do you think are the people doing that job? You think a robot? As we speak on the show, lead poles are being planted in Buchanan City, in Greenville, and Barclayville cities. Who are the people doing the job? Are they robots? They are human beings. Thousands of volunteer teachers have been enrolled on the national payroll. Are those not new jobs? In the agriculture sector, over 198,000 farmers benefited from the projects that have been undertaken by the Ministry of Agriculture. So as the minister read the number on Tuesday, you realize that the president's speech was just conservative. He put out 70,000, but even the numbers are more. So, David, the president spoke. It was a constitutional duty. Those who believe that 70,000 jobs are too good for Liberians and that no job has been created, they can live with the mindset. What we do know.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Let's hear from Edwin quickly.
Okay, Mr. Minister, good evening again.
David asked 2 questions. I'm going to answer one. Let me go to the second before Edwin comes in.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So he talked about the role of the ministry in the preparation of the president's speech. David,
Yeah.
you can rest assured that the Ministry of Information was greatly and deeply involved.
Okay.
But you know what? You know the problem with our country? If I'm on a show today and I say something that is not true, and the next day I came here, I correct what I said, there are people who take offense to that. And it is only in a society like ours that truth-telling, self-correction becomes a problem. And I expect all of us who are enlightened and educated to correct those who hold that mindset. There's nowhere in the world that you can say, because there was minor inaccuracy in the president's speech, the ministry, the government announced a correction, and you say it's a major problem. So here's the issue. The current, as at the time the AARD was being crafted and adapted, the total number of payrolls in the country, the total number of payrolls stood at 12%. The AARD has an ambitious goal to increase the number of payrolls from 12 to 20%. The AARD has a lifespan of 5 years. So that is a fact. Has the government been able to increase the percentage of payroll from 12 to 20% in 2 years? No. But that is a goal of the AARD. It is going to be accomplished. So if there were mechanical inaccuracies that make it appear like in a speech that the government had paid 20% of the role, and we came back to correct it, what is wrong with it? That I see people saying, oh, the president speaks of this. So it just speaks to the mindset. We're in leadership. Only a responsible government would do that. The very people who raising this issue are the ones who were clapping for one of the former officials a few years ago when he said 27 million people were lifted out of poverty. Did they come back to correct themselves? No. The video clip is all out there today. People making fun out of it. So being a responsible leadership is to be able to self-correct when there's mistake.
Okay. Thank you.
And I see absolutely nothing wrong.
Okay. Yes, Edwin.
Yeah, so Mr. Minister, once again, Edwin. I know you and Slobo went back and forth on this whole issue of the demolition process in Saytown and the amount of people that are affected. These are Liberian citizens. We pity them, and like you said, the government also pity them also. And I know you talk about the separation of power. Yes, that's the function of the court to adjudicate these matters that are between party litigants. But what I think in the bigger picture, like Slobo tried to push, is the whole issue of what role does a government play so that you don't have mass of your citizens going through whatever difficulties that they're going through right now. Take, for example, I know the law is the law, you know, like we always say, and for me that actually about to get into that practice. I believe in that particular mantra that the law is the law. But sometimes the law itself becomes reasoning, where, you know, we have to look at the public good of the people themselves. Because if we say we're going to stick to what is on the book, at a point in time, the law might be able to even overshadow us, because people who have money could wake up tomorrow, put money together and say, okay, we'll buy the entire Cinco. And then they buy the entire Cinco, maybe from the original owners, right? And then they go to court. Would the government sit there to allow the entire Cinco to be demolished? Because yes, the law says when somebody buys a property, the court should turn the property over to them, knowing very well that there's a public good to it, that you're going to have about maybe 200,000 of your citizens being displayed. So I think this was the point that Slobo was trying to put you from. I just want you to, you know, to probably give light on that. Without saying that it is part of the government that intervenes.
I would not want to go back and forth on this issue. It's a sensitive issue. Citizens have been made homeless. And what I said initially was the exact position of the government. The government was not directly involved. It's a matter involving private parties, and the government would not be involved in the business of trying to kind of start. Since someone said I shouldn't use circumvent, the government will not want to start the enforcement of the ruling from the court. But here's what I would say to you, intolerance family. The Ministry of Information Board, after RLG was built on the
Kenya land.
piece of land, Kenya Culture Village, the government of Liberia bought over 50 acres of land on the highway in Marshall for the purpose of constructing the cultural village.
Yeah, the cultural village.
Have you seen what has happened to that land? Liberians have encroached on that property. Last year, we did a survey. Out of the over 50 acres of land, I think only 12 was unencumbered. The surveyor went and planted billboards and said no trespassing. You know the community did? They broke down the billboard, the signboards, and the remaining 12 acres of land, the building skyscrapers there. So it's a problem. People are being deceived on a daily basis, buying land from the wrong owners. So that land directly belongs to the government of Liberia. Now, will the government of Liberia go there and break down all of the properties are there in the name of reclaiming the land? I'm not too sure the government would do that, because it directly involves the government and the citizens, right? The government will not do so. But do we want to encourage our citizens to be encroaching on private properties? No. Look at Hotel Africa. There are people, investors, who have expressed interest in Hotel Africa. Our country is infrastructure. Hotel Africa was one of the best in the 70s. But go to Hotel Africa. People took onto themselves the authority to build solid concrete structures. Today, it will cost the government of Liberia money, millions of dollars, to resettle people who took onto themselves that authority. Government will give you the squatter right. You went there, you build structure. Now, investors want to come to take the property. Now, the headache of the government to find money to resettle you. We have to discourage our citizens from getting engaged into illegal occupation of the property.
Follow up question.
Let me. So okay. Now that you are clear this whole issue of the private land owned, what's about the issue that's happening with the military barracks in 72nd?
I was just coming here because I have this video to play quickly.
The military barracks.
I'm coming, Mr. Minister.
I got a follow-up question.
Let's play this video before you can. Okay, you can ask a follow-up question before we play the video here.
Yeah, Mr. Minister, the issue you addressed just now regarding the Kenya, it's good that you mentioned the Hotel Africa. Quite recently, we heard of a list of structures abandoned, incomplete, and we heard the name of Hotel Africa. We heard the name of some building that's going to be a housing bank building or something like that on Ashmore Street. We also, what's the Duke of how do you call it? TWP building was on the list. I think True Party building, Duke of Palace Hotel. We heard that the government has some intention to resettle those who occupy them, to develop the structures. You'd like to talk about that, sir? How far has government gone with that?
I do know that the president mentioned in his annual speech, his annual address, that there are plans to reclaim public buildings that are abandoned in the city and other parts of the country, and those buildings will be renovated to be used for public use. Okay? I don't know the details behind it, but I know he did mention that in his speech. And I will refer that.
Okay, let's play this video quickly so that the minister can ask a question around that, and then he can answer.
Oh, money, oh, I just say I should live for like 30 days, oh. I just like me, oh, I can't get out, oh, I can't get out, oh. International community comes over here, oh, La Biro. Oh, my people, now they got La Biro who want it, oh. Now they got La Biro who want it, oh. Now they talk about La Biro who want it, oh. Rescue team, oh. You say you get to rescue us, oh. I drown you, oh.
Mr. Minister, how do you respond to that quickly? Not the type of government we wanted. You say you came to rescue us. That's just
I think
a
the
victim of
lady.
Mr. Minister, I'm coming. A victim of the military link eviction. How do you respond to that? Because I'm sure the government will not be quite pleased to see its citizens in that sort of distress.
It's unfortunate that a citizen was in distress would decide to be political. It's very unfortunate.
Is that what you call political?
The action being taken by the Ministry of Defense to reclaim the barrack, is the action illegal?
No, you answered for us. No, you answered whether it's legal or not.
It is not illegal. The barracks duly belong to the AFL. The barracks. Who can live in a barrack? How many people?
Mr. Minister, let me come in small. Let me come in.
1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
Go ahead.
Sometimes we wait for danger to walk to our doorstep before we try to respond to it. You think the call to have people being removed from the barracks, you think it was just yesterday thing? Do you know how many years they are continuing? The Ministry of Defense. In fact, I'm even told that former President said he provided compensation for residents within the limit of the barracks to evacuate that place. They took the money, they didn't move. The same way when Ducal Palace Hotel were about to be renovated by the Libyans, they provided money for people in the vicinity to leave that place. People took money. Have they moved? In their own thinking, government are ready yet. So when government get ready, and then you start crying, you say, oh, that kind of government we wanted, oh. That kind of government we wanted. But we can't be carried away by the kind of political.
No, Mr. Minister, you sounding tonight, Mr. Minister, you are sounding tonight as if the government is totally callous about what's happening.
I don't think that's what we are doing here. I've sounded very.
The first thing, Mr. Minister, the first thing for you to respond or respond to a lady that she's sounding political when that lady is hurt and in pain as a result of being removed from where she used to be years, and then you seem not to be sensitive about her pride.
That's unfortunate, Sublord. That's unfortunate.
But that's the picture you are painting here.
What did I say? What did I say to the young lady who was crying? That it's unfortunate that a victim will decide to be political. That's what I said. And I've always maintained that the government is in sympathy with citizens who have been made homeless by these relocation exercises or demolition. I've said that. Except you want me to say that, oh, the lady was right for sounding the way she sounded. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that she's being political. To say, oh, the government rescue, the government not rescuing them, the government not putting them outside.
Isn't that a reality? Didn't you come to rescue? And then Mr. Minister, please let me ask one question. Isn't that a reality? Didn't you come to rescue? And then under your rescue administration, huge number of your citizens have been made homeless.
So the first thing, the misconception that you try to establish that the government is making citizens homeless is not true. The government will not be involved in the business of displacing its own citizens. And if you want to go back to the Satan issue, I said to you that the government would not be in the business of also cherry picking which judgment to enforce from the court. We are a government. When the court rules and the government say, "Oh, you can't move the people," it's a bad precedent.
Okay.
In the case of the barracks, I've said to you the place belongs to the armed forces of Liberia. And the conversation that led to the action being taken now, but that conversation I started last night, as far back as the era of President Salih, these people were compensated.
Okay.
And
now,
all of us who have a duty to be in a public space, we have to admonish the public, the citizens. Before you purchase a piece of land, make sure that the person who is selling that land to you is the due owner of the land. If you are occupying a public space, bear in mind that it can be perpetual. There are people who go to deliberately build houses in the alley. I just told you my own mother house was broken down. Are you saying to me that I should sue in the way because I'm a minister of government? You can't even feed my mother? Do you know how many days my mother slept in the cold? So it's about development. And in as much as the rights of any citizen is not being infringed upon, I see nothing wrong with it.
okay.
Let us not try to politicize it. Please.
Okay. You've answered the question. You've answered the question.
That's why I said it is unfortunate that a lady who we are all in sympathy with.
You answered the question already. Mr. Minister, we don't want you to restate what you said. You answered the question already. You're listening to the Nighttime Heat, and of course, you want to share the live video. We really appreciate that you share the live videos. Again, you can, if you want to watch the show online, just type Nighttime Heat on your Facebook or your YouTube channel, or maybe you can also watch the show on Prom FM Monrovia 105.5. Our guest here tonight is the Deputy Minister of Information, Daniel Sando. Now, Mr. Minister, let me begin before my colleagues can come in again. What really went wrong? We saw the speech of the president, the State of the Nation address, far before the president mounted the stage to report to the Liberian people. What really went wrong?
You had the president speak before he spoke?
Mr. Minister, didn't you speak about that as well? You want to ask question?
I said you.
Didn't you know that the speech leaked before?
You had the president's speech?
No, I'm asking you. Didn't you speak about that? And you said there was investigation. What
you already heard what the Minister of Information said.
Yeah, I'm saying what went wrong. I'm sure.
I'm going to speak about it because he already announced that there is an investigation being conducted by the Ministry of State.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should leave it at that.
So up to now, there's no outcome of the investigation?
Well, I did not initiate the investigation. I can determine when I investigate.
You are a government spokesman.
Yeah, but being a government spokesperson doesn't mean that you got control over these things. When the Ministry of State is conducting an investigation normally takes time. Let's say you want to do it haphazardly.
Okay, so let me pose the question this way. Let me pose it this way. Was it troubling to the government to see the president's speech out before the president reported to the Liberian people?
Of course, it was troubling. I think the minister indicated that.
And so what went wrong?
The investigation will establish what went wrong. I do not want to undercut the investigation.
Okay, fine. So what are you suspecting? Do you think other people from the presidential press secretary office or other from the Ministry of Information or maybe the speech writers might have been responsible for that? Are you suspecting that?
It is a subject of investigation. So even making a subject of the conversation is wrong. Let's leave it as it is. When the investigation comes up, we'll speak to it.
So how soon do we expect to hear the end of the investigation?
I didn't commission that investigation. I can't tell you when, but we hope that it ends in the soonest time.
Okay. Yes, please.
So, Mr. Minister, I'm David again. There are concerns that a lot of people speaking for the government. Jeremy Pierre speaks, the minister speaks. Daniel, who is his deputy, sometimes speak, I guess, on this authorization. And sometimes Mo Ali, others, they speak on some other issues that people think it should be the Ministry of Information should be speaking on some of the issues that some of the ministers and directors of agencies the government can sometimes address. and that sounds like a usurpation of function. My question is, have you noticed that? Are you hearing these concerns?
Even
And
your
if yeah, well, yeah. Let me complete my question, sir. And so, even if a government official is supposed to speak on a particular issue and not the information minister or the deputy information minister for public affairs, uh, do they get your approval? How do you coordinate, this government communication thing as Ministry of Information?
so anybody who has followed the
Mhm.
communication channel of this government would disagree with you.
Okay.
Anybody who has followed the communication channel of this government since the inception.
I'm talking about concerns out there, not David
I'm
specifically.
coming. Even the concern out there, I'm not too sure the point to the fact that government communication is distorted. Nobody can say that. From the start, we adopted one government, one communication agenda. You have to understand that every time something borders on the whole of government, it is the Ministry of Information that speaks to that issue. However, the presidential press secretary speaks to issues about the presidency. Heads of entity also have the authorization to speak to issues about their entities. However, every such utterances have been channeled through the Ministry of Information. That is why you see the press briefing here on a bi-weekly basis, very active, and people have spoken through the Ministry of Information from the very get-go. So there has never been an issue about coordination. So people, but that doesn't in any way mean that others in the government cannot speak to issues. They do not have their opinion, they have their opinion. If a minister of government invited on the radio, he expressed an opinion about his sector or assessment about his sector, that cannot be construed as distorting government communication channel. I just told you, whenever something borders on the whole of government, the Ministry of Information speaks about it. So our communication, the coordination of our communication mechanism have been very, very colorful, and our ministries, agencies, and commissions of government have been very cooperative. And even the president himself has indicated that the team at the Ministry of Information is very competent, and he encouraged officials to speak to the Ministry of Information. And that has been the scenario, that has been the modus operandi since the inception of the government. So I do not know where you're getting your information from, but it's good that you're raising the year. Maybe there are other people who've been speaking on behalf of the government, but to the best of my knowledge, and I can't say that there any entity, any individual who has tried to usurp the functions of the Ministry of Information.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister.
Okay, by 9:45, the minister will be leaving. You can ask
Yes,
a question.
Mr. Minister, we followed the regular press briefing, and I think is very good, where the government is informing the citizens of the happenings. But I have not seen the visibility of the government engaging the media to say maybe after the press briefing, maybe once a week or once a month, to actually sell what the government is doing out there in terms of building roads, in terms of schools and other major projects that the government is doing. Because for most of your voting populace that are within the Monrovia belt, that don't travel out there, you can see everything about the roads in the southeast, but we don't see it. But if we hear from you guys, maybe on a monthly basis, to say how far government has gone or so, it could actually play, a better way to be able to explain to the ordinary people as to how far your government is working and what the government is doing. What do you guys have planned? Because I heard you talking about taking the government to the people, which is the Palava thing. But there are people within the Monrovia belt that may not go to the Palava. There are people that may not listen to the Class Reloaded. There are people that may not maybe listen to the regular press briefing that is air live online or so. Is there any plan by the ministry to say, okay,
that is why we try? Your question is very important. That is why from the get-go we try to diversify our approach. The press briefing is the first channel of communication. We also have content outreach that are coming up from the Department of Public Affairs. We engage with community radio stations, local intellectual centers, with the goal of explaining government development projects across the country to the people. If I should go to Margibi tomorrow, I have to have an idea from the leadership of Margibi what the government is doing, what project the government is undertaking, and we can have a conversation about that, which is good. But over time, we've been very engaging. I'm on the show right now. I expect that we should be talking about the roles and other things, but somebody's asking about who being evicted and everything. So that's a question.
We have a rules on so many occasions, Mr. Minister.
That's a question you chose to ask me, so I have to respond to it. I'm not interviewing myself. If you're asking
the rules on so many occasions.
Yeah, of course. So we talk about the roles every time. We talk about development in the agricultural sector.
And in jail and the economy on so many occasions.
Very good. So we talk about these things every day. If anybody who follows the press briefing would know that we have always placed premium on talking about government development projects. We do less response to people who want to be opposition, pay more attention on government projects because we want to tell the government story. The next thing we've also done is to reactivate the Class Reloaded, which has been simulcast on numerous community radio stations across the country, right? On that platform, we tell government stories. And we have said repeatedly that the next couple of years, this year, next year, up to the time NEC will declare campaign open, we continue to tell the people what their government is doing. Okay? Because we do believe that.
I want to ask my final question.
We are in an era that is dominantly controlled by social media. People can deliberately speak out innuendos, misinformation, hate speech, disinformation about the government. So when you are managing government communication in this era, you have to be on top of your game. Okay? And I think that is exactly what we try to do here at the Ministry of Information. The outreach, the government town hall, all of these initiatives are geared towards informing the public about what their government is doing.
Okay. So, Mr. Minister, my final question: that expectations are still high about the yellow machines. Quite recently, we heard that they were on a ship or vessel coming from different sources. How far has the government gone with the yellow mission? When would they be arriving?
David.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase what the president said.
Okay.
If there was anybody in this country who ever imagined that the yellow machine would be a field promise, that person has to think again.
Okay.
The government announced that the shipment of the yellow machine is en route. We even give a time frame that 70 days to arrive. We are hopeful about March, given the process of shipping. I know sometimes it delays a whole lot because of the route. We are hopeful, as the government announced about March, the other machines will be here. The same way people were all on the radio talk, there are no MTA buses, they're buses people. The 64 MTA buses are in the country. People seeing it. I'm just saying this. We didn't come here to play politics for the next 5 years. We came to govern a country that was so challenging. And are we proud of our record? Yes, of course we are. Are we going to rest on our laurels? No, we want to do more to improve the condition of our people. That is what the government is about, and that's what the president has said. And for him, it is not about the next election. It's about taking the action, making the accomplishment, achieving what will benefit the next generation of our people. And we are solidly behind the president. without focusing on those who think that tomorrow will be the next election and making laws in the kingdom. We're here to govern, and we are governing the country properly.
Thank you.
Finally, from my end, Mr. Minister, let me ask the Ministry of Information folks, and I think you particular, why is it that every time there is a MICAT briefing, the issue of the opposition will always be a major priority? Why can't the Ministry of Information take its time to talk about what government is doing, then always shifting blame the opposition as the opposition and the opposition? And why is it always happening that way?
So, Slobot, that
Yes.
information is not true. It is
Oh,
not
you
true.
just played it just a few minutes ago. You just played it.
How? What did I say?
You are at opposition again. We don't have time for opposition who are doing this. We are prepared to. Why can't you talk more?
I've been here. I've been on your show. I've been on your show for the last maybe close to 1 hour. I've not said anything about opposition.
You just spoke about opposition a few minutes ago.
I've spoken. Look, that's not me. I've said that when the governance front, we focus on governance. There are people who think that being opposition is just about generating talking point. I'm going to say it. Does it mean I'm making opposition my major talking point on the show?
No, and what the government
So
is
your
doing.
information is not true.
Okay.
We're not here to waste our time responding to people who think that tomorrow will be the next day. So that's not what we're here for.
Okay. Mr. Minister, we want to thank you. We want to
Hold
thank
on
you
a
for-
minute. Everybody who follows the Ministry of Information on regular press briefing, we have always prioritized talking about government accomplishment across the country. Even at the close of 2025, we took 3 weeks enumerating on progress, accomplishment in various sectors. So the press conference has been very informative, other than just being reactive.
Okay.
But don't get me wrong, Slabo, that we want to inform the public about what the government is doing doesn't in any way suggest that we cannot correct some of the wrong misinformation that being put out there by people in opposition. No, we have
Okay.
the time to do
Minister,
it.
Mr. Minister, thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to appear on the Nighttime Heat. We really appreciate your time. We're hoping that we can have you again on the program, maybe in the next not too distant future. Thank you very much for
You
taking-
always have me. Let me just conclude by saying that Minister Gafan was on the Class Reloaded 2 days ago, and he made an section that the government has started to take steps to reverse harmonization in some key institutions. The government announced that the LECC, the GAC, and the
DA.
judiciary have been reversed to pre-harmonization level. I do not know what about that statement that has annoyed the former finance minister, that he jumping from radio station to radio station and beating his chest. We live in a country where the dependency ratio is high. If Slobber is working with Prime FM, about 10 or 20% depend on Slobber to help them. And the government came, messed the country up, and it had to introduce that evil harmonization policy that reduced the salary of civil servants. So if our government comes and see the need to reverse harmonization incrementally, that's that when Ross number 12. Is it that Mr. 12 takes pleasure in the fact that citizens should be crying every time, or he doesn't care for the welfare of citizens? I want to conclude on the point because as a government, all we want to do is to improve the livelihood of our people. And when steps are being taken to do that by reversing harmonization in key institutions, I don't expect the man who brought suffering, untold suffering, Only Liberian people yesterday to be the one jumping from one station to another and acting that he's some talking Tom, he know it all. You had the opportunity, Mr. 12. You serve as finance minister for 6 years. Your records speak for you. What we are doing here is to take deliberate and intentional steps to improve the well-being of our people. And we can do so. Rest assured we'll do so. Thank you.
Okay. Many thanks. Many thanks. We hope to have it again, Mr. Minister. Thank you very much for taking time of your busy schedule. Okay, so gentlemen, the minister is gone. Let's do our discussion up to 10 o'clock. It'll be 10:05. We can shut down. Dave, let's hear from you first about your takeaway.
Well, my takeaway from the minister's presentation is that, for me, regarding the issue of the demolition in Satan, he was realistic. You know, there's no other way he could put it. It was a court matter. It's a private land business. It would have been misinterpreted had the government, made any move in terms of intervening. It would have been seen at others would have said, "Oh, government is interfering with the law," and again, it would have been a bad precedent, as the minister said. Let the law take a course. And so, the issue of sympathy. Anytime government makes a move to develop a particular area, and most especially road infrastructure, and people buildings are demolished, some are giving some compensations, others are not, depending on where you find your structure. And the people criticize, we swing Liberians, we criticize, but at the same time, we praise in other people's countries that are developed. We admire them. And those people, countries that we admire, their citizens also suffer similar circumstances. That's how their countries got to where they are. We always hear about the issue of Derula himself getting a caterpillar and breaking down structures in Accra, Ghana. I don't know how true is that, but we heard that. So other places, other countries that are sparkling or prospering, with infrastructure impressive, their citizens suffer these kind of circumstances. And the other thing regarding the issue of opposition, quite frankly, no government will sit there and no sitting government allowed to sit there and allow people outside the government, most especially the opposition, to always make derogatory statements, some true, some not true. And you expect that government to just sit and supine and don't react. Quite frankly, it's image building. If the government is building its image in terms of its deliverables, and there are others who try to thwart those efforts, through misinformation and disinformation, quite frankly, I don't expect the government to sit there. That's exactly Deputy Minister, Sana was talking about.
Okay.
He was very realistic in my view.
All right. Edwin?
Well, I think Daniel did justice to the conversation tonight, and he looked at it from your perspective. I know we push him on the issue of the Satan issue on a humanitarian basis based on the amount of citizens that have been affected. But again, as he clearly stated, there were two private parties that went to the court. Now, I think from my standpoint, one of the parties had other remedy to the law that they didn't make use of, because if the lower court ruled against a party, you have the right to take an appeal to the Supreme Court. Before the Supreme Court, then you can raise other issues. Maybe that could have prevented the whole action from taking place. But even the court order that I saw today on what they acted on came directly from the lower court. So, but he talks about the issue of people occupying government land. I think, again, the land authority falls directly under the executive branch of government. So government itself now has to start looking at policies reform. They also need to start looking at what land reform laws that we can start putting in place so that we prevent these things from happening. With the issue of the 72nd Military Barracks, I think as he placed it, that area belongs to the Ministry of Defense, which also is an arm of the executive branch of government. And like I said earlier on the talk show, when that barrier was opened, maybe in the 80s or so, the population in that area had not grown. The city had not expanded to that, at that level. So therefore, that whole area was almost like on the outskirts of the city. And now the city is growing and people have started to put infrastructure. I think the government itself can now sit and say, look, what is the level of security threat that we may have in the city that we need? The proximity of the military barracks right next door. You have Camp Keseli barracks, you have Camp Todi barracks, and you can, in fact, you can even expand those barracks because there's no issue of land. Camp Keseli has vast land. You can expand it and see if that will be able to actually bring down the losses and the suffering that population in that area will be able to, to go through. So I think it's still not late. The executive, the office of the president, the ministers and stuff, I think they can start having that conversation with the Ministry of Defense, because like that lady, irrespective of the way she spoke, whatever it was politics, but she's distressed. And when people put their whole life into something and then see it coming down before their own eyes, they will see things, they will cry.
Okay, so let me begin from what you just ended, and this is my frustration. The initial reaction of Minister Sando was, for me, inappropriate, especially to that woman. She's, like you said, she invested her whole life in that area, and unfortunately, she didn't envisage what is happening now. It's not something that she planned for, or she knew that would have happened. If that, if she's going through that as a government minister, to have come up to say, well, she's sounding political, it shows that you are just, utterly callous of the women, of those who have been victimized. No care at all. So, sometimes we have to be very careful in how we respond to things. The words we used, and that's my disappointment when he reacted like that in a manner to a woman who is in distress. And on the second aspect, like I asked him, because the thing is, as a government, I thought your obligation should be how you can market what you are doing. That's what they call public relations, doing good and letting the public know. That's just the simple, a simple definition for public relations. When the government is doing good and letting the people know, there will be no need for speculation. But when the government is explaining itself, and at the same time throwing jabs at opposition politicians, there's no need for that, because those politicians or the previous administration has failed already. It failed for which you came in as the rescuer. So the best thing to do is to explain to the people, explain what you are doing, market why you are doing your deliverables, and the people will continue to applaud you. But when you are always hating at the opposition, and in fact, what it does, it further divides the country. Talk about what you are doing, Dave. For example, if I'm selling Kala, and maybe you selling donor, and unfortunately, your donor is not well bought by the people, I should be able to talk more about what I'm doing. If my donor is Makala has been bought by the people, I should be able to talk about Makala more than your donor. I shouldn't be able to that the reason why David donor is not being bought because it's not properly. Let's forget about always throwing jabs at opposition. Listen, no opposition will speak well
of the government.
Is that possible? And no government will sit and allow opposition to speak out
No,
lies.
if the opposition is speaking about or spewing lies, you just do what you do.
No, but it's impossible. It's impossible. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Speak. Mm-hmm. You just do what you are doing. They have some people in the public. They got people who are well versed in the public. They are seeing what you are doing. And people who in fact voted for you, they're the ones who carry the news, then you carry the news. because they are seeing what you are doing. But when you continue to throw jabs at the opposition, when you continue to divert, instead of you marketing yourself, marketing your deliverables, rather you are talking about the opposition. Listen, sometimes some of the reaction from our colleagues at National Information, like the other time, see how Collins was described. That's not necessary, Dave. Talk about what you are doing. If the government is building roads, the opposition will cry foul. Especially those who've defeated, they will cry foul. You defeated them. So they will talk more, they will cry foul. But you talk about why you do more than throwing jabs at them.
As far as I'm concerned, you know, it's part of the democratic process. That's democracy. You don't expect a government. Look, what it is. No, Dave, give me a chance.
No, Dave, I agree that democracy, but it will divert. It will undermine your effort. When you always giving credence to people who are criticizing you, it will undermine your effort.
If there's a point, if there's a point at which people in the opposition try to distort the facts, you expect the government to say something. And
I'm not saying you can't clarify.
Don't expect.
No, I'm not saying you can't clarify. If there's any distortion, or if an opposition is trying to lie about something, clearly lie about something, openly lie about something, you can come and clarify. So this is not so.
Well,
but when you continue to make it a major talking point, an opposition figure came out and said, "No, government is not building roads." When people see the roads, you don't need to talk because people are seeing the roads. You don't need to bury yourself. That's what I'm saying. When you continue to give more credence to opposition politicians about what they're spewing and this and that, you always distract yourself.
Yes, I agree with you. There's some level of distraction. I can't dispute that. But to be very frank with you, the society we have, you don't expect any government to keep quiet under certain circumstances.
The idea of an opposition is to oppose whatever you do. So what are you doing good? What are you doing bad? They will oppose you. So if you're going to take your time
to respond
to them, is actually in the favor of the opposition.
Yeah.
Because they're now distracting you from actually doing what you're supposed to do or explaining what you are doing. All right, like Slobo said. Let the people be the judge. So you do not use the opportunity that you have to sell your government to say, okay, I'm going to deal with opposition.
To respond to
because
opposition.
once you say a thing to them, they take that and glorify it and start to run with it. Then you have to come back again to clarify. Now you forget to know that you have timeline. Your time is running out. The man who is opposing you, he wants to come in that seat. So anything you do, even if you dig up these roads today and pave it with gold, opposition will still condemn it. They'll criticize it. And say, no, but this is not what. Now, you start to build a road. They say, where's the bread and butter issue? You trying to fix the electricity issue. They say, we're not put food on the pot table. You're not going to take your time to respond to these things because for you, that's destruction.
For a typical example, the SONA was held and the president spoke about the economy. After a few days, the Minister of Finance went on the radio and explained deeply details about the economy, about what the president. That's what you should do. He didn't go on the radio to say, "Oh, what Samuel Jackson said was wrong," or what Amara Collins said was wrong, or what Samuel Tuah said was wrong. No, he went explained. So enough though, the opposition will always come after you.
Always come after you.
They always spew lies. So what you do, just focus. Don't allow yourself to be distracted.
Use your platform to glorify them.
That's all.
Let it say what they want to say.
Let it say what they want to say.
Let your work speak for itself.
But gentlemen, let me thank all of you, Dave and Edwin. Let me thank you. I know the others will join us, I'm sure, tomorrow on Friday for us to have more discussions on these sort of national issues. And let me thank the producers too. Let me thank you too for listening and for viewing. Join us tomorrow. We'll be yet again with another interesting edition of the program. I'm sure Minister Daniel Sano was able to explain on some of the concerns that people do have, what to pose all the questions, concerning the Satan, the issue about governance and all of that. So join us tomorrow for another fascinating edition of the program. Until then, Have a splendid and restful night. Sabo George is my name.